The warning klaxons echoed through the lower tunnels of Station Kepler 7, their shrill cry cutting through the usual hum of life support systems. Lyra's hands didn't shake as she sealed the atmospheric lock behind her. She'd been in worse situations, mining accidents on Titan, a hull breach near the Kuiper Belt, that incident with the Vraxian pirates. But this was different. This time, innocent lives hung in the balance. The patrol ships had arrived 3 hours ago, their sleek silver hulls reflecting the distant light of the system's binary stars. The Coalition's Armed Enforcement Division didn't make social calls. When they came with purpose, with orders, with the weight of galactic law behind their plasma rifles and neural disruptors. Lyra had known they would come eventually. The moment she'd taken in the orphan Krevtar cubs, she'd crossed a line that most humans, most sentients, would never dare approach. The Krevtar were a dying species, their homeworld scorched to ash in the last territorial war. The Coalition had declared them a Category 5 biological threat, which was bureaucratic speak for extinction is the preferred option. But Lyra had never been good at following rules that didn't make sense. She moved deeper into the den, a converted cargo bay she'd retrofitted with climate controls, sleeping nests, and a small hydroponic section. The cubs sensed the danger before she reached them. Their bioluminescent markings pulsed with anxious amber light, casting dancing shadows across the walls. "It's okay," Lyra whispered, though she knew they couldn't understand Standard. The universal translator didn't work on juvenile Krevtar. Their language centers wouldn't develop for another 2 cycles. But they understood tone. They understood care. Jax approached first, the smallest of the 3 cubs. His scales were still soft, not yet hardened into the armored plating that would protect him in adulthood. He pressed his triangular head against Lyra's leg, and she felt the rapid flutter of his dual hearts through her suit. The other 2 cubs, Syrah and Vin, huddled together near the back wall, their optical sensors wide with fear. The den's external door exploded inward with a concussive blast that rattled Lyra's teeth. Smoke billowed into the chamber, and through it came the patrol, 6 heavily armed Valorians, their insectoid bodies encased in tactical exoframes. Their commander, a battle-scarred veteran with 3 commendation bars etched into his carapace, stepped forward. Human Lyra Chun. His voice crackled through the translator, cold and mechanical. "You are harboring illegal biological entities in violation of Coalition Statute 771. B. Surrender the specimens for immediate termination." Lyra didn't move. Instead, she bent down and lifted Jax into her arms. The cub was heavier than he looked, his body dense with the muscle structure that would someday make the Krevtar apex predators. His claws dug into her suit, not from aggression, but from terror. "No," Lyra said simply. The commander's mandibles clicked in what might have been surprise or irritation. "This is not a negotiation, human. The Krevtar are deemed too dangerous for coexistence. The Council's decision is final." "The Council," Lyra replied, her voice steady, "has never met a Krevtar cub. They've only seen the adult warriors, the ones who fought back when their world burned. These cubs didn't choose that war. They didn't ask to be born into genocide." She moved towards Syrah and Vin, Jax still cradled in one arm. The other 2 cubs pressed against her legs as she stood between them and the armed patrol. The Valorians raised their weapons, targeting lasers painting red dots across her chest. "Stand aside," the commander ordered. "Your species may have gained respect in the Coalition through your technological contributions and your bizarre tenacity, but you are not above the law." Lyra met his compound eyes without flinching. This was the thing about humans that confused the rest of the galaxy. They could be simultaneously brilliant and absolutely insane. They would throw themselves into impossible situations with nothing but conviction and stubborn hope. They would protect the defenseless even when logic screamed that they should walk away. "Cubs fall under my protection," Lyra declared, her voice carrying through the den with absolute certainty. "And I invoke Article 7 of the Sentient Rights Accords, the right of sanctuary for non-combatant juveniles of any species." The commander's translator emitted what might have been a laugh. "That article requires a formal petition, a review board, diplomatic sponsorship. It requires," Lyra interrupted, "that any sentient being can claim protection for juveniles in immediate danger of termination. There's no time limit on the petition. File it posthumously if you want. But these cubs are under human protection as of now. The patrol members exchanged glances, their weapons still raised, but uncertainty creeping into their postures. Humans had a reputation. In the 70 years since first contact, they'd earned it through blood and sacrifice. When a human drew a line, they meant it. When they said they'd protect something, they'd die trying. And that was the problem. The galaxy had learned that killing humans was easy. They were fragile, short-lived, vulnerable to 1,000 different environmental hazards. But making them quit? Making them give up? That was something else entirely. They'd seen human rescue workers run into collapsing buildings. Human soldiers hold positions that couldn't be held. Human parents fight off creatures twice their size to save their young. The commander lowered his weapon fractionally. You would die for these creatures? Lyra shifted Jax higher in her arms, and the cub's bioluminescence shifted to a soft blue, the color of contentment, of safety. Behind her, Syrah and Vin's markings began to synchronize with Jax's, creating a ripple of azure light. I would, Lyra said, and before you make me prove it, you should know something about humans. We're pack-bonding idiots who adopt anything that'll let us. We've domesticated wolves, befriended bears, and taught octopi to solve puzzles. We name our cleaning robots and cry when they break down. These cubs have been under my care for 6 months. They know my scent, my voice, my heartbeat. She took a step forward, and the patrol actually retreated. So here's what's going to happen, Lyra continued. You're going to go back to your ships and file my petition for sanctuary. You're going to tell the council that the cubs are under human protection, which means they're under the protection of the Sol System Defense Force, the Terran Diplomatic Corps, and every stubborn, irrational human who hears about this. The commander was silent for a long moment. Finally, he clicked his mandibles in resignation. The council will not accept this. Then the council can come down here and try to take them, Lyra said. But I promise you, Commander, it won't be quick. It won't be easy. And it'll make galactic news in a way that'll have every bleeding heart sentient in the coalition asking why we're murdering children. The patrol slowly lowered their weapons. The commander turned to leave, then paused. You humans are insane. Yeah, Lyra agreed, a tired smile crossing her face. We really are. As the patrol withdrew and the den's emergency systems began cycling fresh air, Lyra sank to the floor, still holding Jax. The cub's bioluminescence pulsed with gentle blue light, and for the first time in hours, Lyra let herself breathe. The fight wasn't over. The council would debate, the lawyers would argue, and the politicians would posture. But for now, in this moment, 3 cubs were safe, and sometimes that was enough.